Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And today I want to share my experiences in Mexico City and why it didn't quite live up to my expectations. I know this might sound a little negative, but I feel like it's important to know the flip side of the coin as well, so you know what to expect if you have never been there before yourself. I know the city has a massive fan base, but before you start opposing to my opinions, I just want you to take a deep breath and calm down, have a hear of what I have to say, and maybe you can relate to those experiences and points as well. Time to grab your coffee. Let's dive into it. When I first landed in Mexico City, I was buzzing with excitement. I mean, who wouldn't be from everything that I've been told about this magic place? Like the culture, the food, the architecture, the history, like just everything. Everyone raves about it. And boy oh boy, it has set my expectations very high. Probably a little bit too high. The reality slowly but surely started to set in. The sheer size of the city hit me like a ton of bricks, and it was very difficult and congested to navigate the city. With over 9 million people living in there, it's bigger than New York, and navigating through the crowds felt like rather chaotic than exhilarating. I remember trying to go home from Polanco to Central one evening. I was trying to save some money by taking a bus. What a grave mistake I made. I hopped on an overcrowded bus after waiting in line for almost 30 minutes, and it was beyond packed. Picture this. The entire bus, from the driver's seat to the very end, was filled with people. Even two people were sitting above the engine cover, right next to the drivers. And everybody was being pressed against each other so tightly that nobody could even move a finger. I was holding onto the overhead rail for dear life the entire time. And whenever someone needs to get off, everyone closer to the exit door had to get off first, let the person out, and then came back onto the bus. It was an absolutely insane and inhuman experience that I ever had. And for sure, I will never try that ever again. Now let's talk about the culture. While I appreciate the vibrant street life, like those amazing taco stands on every corner, I often felt overwhelmed by aggressive vendors. One evening, I was trying to enjoy a quiet meal at a little spot called Los Cocuyos in the historic center. A vendor approached me three times, trying to sell me handmade jewelries. And for each of those 3 times, I told him, no gracias, no necesito, I don't need this stuff. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna buy. But he just wouldn't take no for an answer. I get it. They are hustling just like everybody else, trying to make a living in this very expensive city, you know. But it made relaxing very difficult, right? Instead of savoring my tacos and enjoying my dinner, I got interrupted every few seconds. I felt pressured, constantly to buy stuff from people approaching me. It's like there's an invisible line between being friendly and being overly pushy that's sometimes being blurred out in a city like Mexico City. Next up is safety. Let's get real. Safety is the most important factor that's on everybody's mind when traveling, right? While some areas are safe and welcoming and upscale, I had a few unsettling experiences that made me question whether my safety was compromised or should I get out of the area immediately. For example, one night after dinner at Puho, which was amazing by the way, I decided to walk back to my hotel. The streets were eerily quiet, and as much as I loved Roma Norte during the day, at night it just felt it just turns into a ghost town, pretty much, with nothing but a few suspicious people walking by on the streets. A friend told me to always use an Uber if I need to go out at night, and he told me there's a few areas that I should never venture into. Some of his friends even got robbed in some areas at night while walking on the streets alone. So his advice stuck with me during the whole trip, and I had to keep my guard up to not become one of those that unfortunately got his stuff robbed, right? Inadvertently hindered my ability to enjoy my trip to the forest, and I had to be more tense while out here in the public. Now let's talk about food. I think overall, Mexico City has amazing food culture, and everything. While I did enjoy some incredible meals, like those tacos El Pastor from El Huequito, there were some disappointments as well that lingers at the back of my head, and I have to share with you guys. I had some underwhelming experiences where the food was either too greasy or lacked any flavor, to be honest. I tried a highly recommended pozole at a restaurant, but it tasted bland and left me wishing for more seasoning and flavor to it. I know that in Mexico, sometimes it's up to you to put your own seasoning. They give you all kinds of seasonings on the side, so you put those salsa and sauces in yourself. But I feel like when they cook the food itself didn't really have any flavor that's being mixed into it. So the food itself was quite plain. And I wished, there's more seasoning that's being added into the food while they cooked it, so I don't have to put in the seasoning in there myself. But that's up for debate. Everybody has their own opinions. You can argue from the points of both sides, and it will be totally fine. But other than that, the major problem is hygiene and food safety. There were moments when I hesitated to eat a food because I just saw what the vendor did. They were like touching all kinds of stuff with their hands, whether that's cooked or uncooked or raw, right? And they don't really clean their hands well before they touch the cooked food. So there could be some potential safety concerns there. I know many people that get minor food poisoning or diarrhea after they eat street food. That had not happened to me in Mexico City, which fortunately is something that I was fortunate enough to have. But that's always a concern if you eat outside. Okay, so next up, let's talk about the tourist activities, right? Mexico City has many spots that's very popular for the tourists. There are many museums, historical centers that everybody should go check it out when they're there. It boasts stunning architecture and historical sites like Zocalo, Frida Kahlo's house. But getting to those places, it felt like sometimes you have to go through these unwelcoming areas. Unless you are taking an Uber, But if you are working there, it doesn't feel very safe and welcoming while you are going past those neighborhoods, right? For instance, while visiting the Templo Major, I had to walk through some less than appealing neighborhoods filled with graffiti and litter. The contrast between beauty and chaos was staggering. Sometimes it felt like you had to fight through noises and keep your guard up around for your surroundings just to get to the place and appreciate what was right there in front of you, right? So that ties it back into another point, which is to try to always use Uber or other transportation means, and try to reduce your walking distance if you are by yourself, right? Because you don't know which areas you are getting into while you are getting to those tourist spots, right? You could be walking into a very dangerous neighborhood that you should that you have absolutely no reason of being in there, right? So taking an Uber is always the first and foremost option. So all in all, while Mexico City definitely has its appeal and charm, like its rich history and vibrant art scene, I found that my experiences were marred by the things that I just talked about, right? You have to pay attention to those things while you are visiting a city and not let them affect your overall positive experience. I believe every traveler has different experiences at the end of the day based on their expectations and backgrounds. For those planning a trip there, just be prepared for a mix of highs and lows because you're gonna experience both the good and bad of a city. That being said, thanks for tuning in today. If you have been to Mexico City or are planning a trip there, drop your thoughts or questions down below in the comments section. Let's talk about it. And if you find this video helpful or even relatable, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps with the algorithm a lot. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.